lit from within, wet, super stunning. I need a moment for these guys. They are incredible. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing my next Best in Beauty 2020, and today's video is going to be the cheek edition. So this is going to be cream contour, bronzer, and blush, and highlight. I'm keeping it very, very selective and to the point because I also have a best and worst makeup series that I started a few months ago. I did my best and worst foundations, just of all time, like my absolute favorite, whether I found them 15 years ago or if I found them recently. I will link that below along with my other Best in Beauty video. I just put out my favorite base makeup of 2020. So we're gonna start with cream contour. So I chose one drugstore and one high-end. So my favorite drugstore cream contour that I found in 2020 is the Catrice Triangle Artist Contour Stick. So this is in stick form. Don't mind the, disaster. It kind of looks a little bit dirty. That is the one con to this product. You want to make sure you're rolling it all the way down so there's no product sticking out, because when you go to put on the lid, if there's any product sticking out, it will sometimes catch it and pick up some of the product inside the lid, and then it will just make a mess. It's really not that big of a deal, but it is kind of annoying sometimes. It's the only con to this product, but the actual formula is incredible. This is a great shade. I think it would be good for most people, but I believe they only sell it in one shade now. The shade is really nice for me. It is pretty natural, but it is also dark enough for me because I am fair. I think for medium skin toned, you could either use it as a cream bronzer or just build it up. It is buildable as well. I didn't go like crazy with my cream contour, but it is definitely buildable. It is extremely blendable, very creamy. It applies on top of other, products really, really well. It sets nicely. It is natural looking. It doesn't get cakey or creasy, or it doesn't do anything funky. It just blends right into your makeup and it looks very, very smooth. I absolutely love this guy. So now to high end. I did try this in 2020 as well. This is the RCMA. This is the Foundation Concealer Palette in VK number 11. This is a really, really beautiful palette. I absolutely love using this for cream contour. You're going to be able to see very quickly which shade I like best. This one right here is the best shade for me because it is the coolest, one of the cooler tones. The ones in the top row are quite warm. I have barely touched into them. The reason I don't use them as much is because I typically do go for a cooler toned, but I don't mind warm tone from time to time, especially in the summer. Like, it'd be something I'd use more in the summer. 3 shades. This one here that's very well loved, and these 2 here are really, really great for cream contour for my skin tone. If you like a warmer cream contour, there are warmer options in this palette. There are some really light shades for highlighting and concealing. And then there's also shades that would match a lot of different skin tones. This is great for my fellow makeup artists to carry around for different cream contour, for different foundations. Like, it's nice to have these darker shades. You can use them as foundation as well for darker skin toned clients. And it's just a great formula. It's very lightweight, it's very creamy, it blends out really nicely, it builds really nicely, it's not greasy, it sets down nice, and it's really, really stunning. This is really cool because you can play more with this. This being said, I don't recommend this to everybody because I feel like if you're just looking for a cream contour, this is not going to be for everybody. I think if you're looking to try RCMA's cream contour formula and you're not sure if you need the whole palette, I would recommend checking out their smaller palettes. You can get the 5-pan palettes, and you could get just a few different shades to just kind of try their formula. It's really incredible, and it was definitely my favorite and the one that stood out to me the most this year. Those 2 are my go-to cream contours for sure. So because I know not all of you do cream contour, I am going to recommend powder contour, and that is the Film Star Bronze and Glow. This is one that I got recently. This is one that I reach for quite frequently. It is absolutely incredible. This is in the mini, so if you don't want to spend the high price of the regular size one, you can get a mini. I think it's one I would eventually purchase again if I were to use this up and hit pan. Absolutely incredible. The powder contour in this is flawless. It's smooth, it's buildable, it's honestly stunning. And this is in the light to medium. They have a darker one as well, so it is versatile for different skin tones. And the highlight's really nice as well. It's a bit more of a subtle highlight, but you can wet it and make it a little brighter. But they're just both really, really creamy, smooth, flawless, buildable, blendable, and a definite recommend. So then now let's go on to blush. So this has actually been a very hard category for me. I love blush, I really do. I'm a blush kind of girl. I used to only wear blush. I used to wear blush and rarely wear bronzer or contour. Like, blush has always been my thing. Now I'm like all about the contour, but also I'm still all about the blush. So I have some really exciting blush finds from this year. Let's talk drugstore first. I am going to have two from each category because it's hard for me. It really honestly is. So I would say that one of my favorite blushes, actually part of the ColourPop holiday collection. It's called Secret Crush. This is just such a stunning, stunning blush. It has a little bit of a shimmer to it, but it's so subtle you barely notice it. It just looks like a very healthy type of glow. If you're opposed to glitter in your blush, do not worry about this because it is barely there. It's just kind of adds a little bit of like the tiniest bit of a sheen so that it looks like very, very healthy on the skin, not dry whatsoever. They're very pigmented. ColourPop is really, really great. And I really love, 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 love their blush. So I actually realized when I was editing this video that I totally forgot the second drugstore blush favorite. This formula I absolutely fell in love with. They were actually out of a lot of the shades, so I did end up getting a shade that isn't my typical favorite shade in blush, but I really, really love the formula, and the actual color has surprised me. I do enjoy it more than I thought I would. That being said, I do actually want to try more shades because I think if I found a shade that I would typically use on a day-to-day, I would love it even more. This is the e.l.f. Primer Infused Shimmer Blush. You can also get it in matte, which is another one I want to try, but I can only speak on this specific one. This is the shimmer blush in Always Breezy. This one really surprised me. The shimmer in the blush is very, very fine and barely there. It just gives that kind of healthy glow, very smooth, very creamy, very healthy and natural looking on the skin. It gives you that beautiful, healthy flush, and I really, really just like the formula. They are extremely pigmented, so you only need a little bit, but they do blend out really well. And this is just another product that I did fall in love with, and it is all obviously very affordable coming from e.l.f. On to high end. This blush blew me away. I think this might be one of my favorite finds of 2020, like my absolute favorite finds of 2020. This is the Rare Beauty Liquid Soft Pinch Blushes. I need a moment for these guys. They are incredible. This is the matte formula, this is the dewy formula. So I can put these on top of powder, I can put them underneath powder. They're super ultra pigmented, so beware. You need a little bit. So these blend out like a dream. If you apply too much, don't panic. Grab your beauty blender or grab a clean brush and just start to buff those edges out, and it will like magically blend in perfectly every time. I have not had a problem with these ever. I think I prefer the matte one because I like the shade better. It's like a light peachy shade. I'm actually wearing it today. It's very natural, very skin-like, like it soaks into the skin. They are pigmented, blendable. They last a really long time. I do apply it on my hand first. I just feel like any cream or liquid products, things blend better when you apply them with an applicator rather than applying them straight to the face and then blending them out. That's my personal preference. I recommend these all day long. Probably my favorite blush ever. Love them so much. My other favorite high-end blush is the Clinique Cheek Pop blushes. I have two individuals here, and then I also have I think I have another individual upstairs. But then I also have the holiday palette, the Cheek Pop palette. I just brought these down. I have Peach Pop and Plum Pop, number 2 and number 4. They both look very, very bright, but they actually are really stunning shades. They are a little bit intimidating, but they really aren't as bright. I mean, you could build it to be this bright. If you want like a funky, bright cheek, you can get it there, but they are really, really blendable and beautiful on the skin. They're virtually powderless, like they almost seem like they're applying as smooth as a cream blush, but their powder. Clinique is a very underrated brand, and I definitely recommend these. As I mentioned, pigmented, blendable, long wearing, and really, really incredible. They are a little bit more expensive than my drugstore options, but if you want to invest in a Clinique Cheek Pop blush, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And again, these shades are like, you know what, let's just apply a little bit. So I'm gonna apply a little bit to the cheeks and you will see. Like, yeah, it added a little bit of color, but it's not as bright as you would think looking at the pan. And then you can build it, as I mentioned. So they're really, really stunning and really blendable. They just soak into the skin. It gives you a beautiful like flush, and they're really, really great. So now on to highlights. So I have 2 drugstore individual highlights and then 2 high-end. So my first one is the Milani Afterglow Instant Glow Powder in Strobe Light. I absolutely love this one. It is very affordable, yet it is very, very smooth, creamy, good quality. Like, look at that. It is, again, virtually powderless. If you don't get that like chunky look on the skin, it blends in beautifully. It's very finely milled. It's a beautiful like champagne shade. This is one of my favorite shades. I really like the formula. They do have other shades as well if this isn't your type of like preference in highlight. They're very bright, but they are blendable. They last a long time, and they're really, really great. For a drugstore price, it is a great quality. But I do also love my Maybelline Master Chrome. I really like it in the Molten Rose Gold. If you have never heard of it, it is a beautiful, stunning, similar formula. It is very finely milled, it is very bright, and it is very affordable. They're, you know, really great. My high-end options, number 1 is my Natasha Denona I Need a Nude Glow highlight. This is from her holiday collection. It is a beautiful golden champagne. It's like, she described it as a nude champagne, which I guess would be a great description, but it does have a golden hue to it. This one right here, you can see the Natasha Denona and the Milani have very similar formulas. They're very finely milled, very creamy, very bright. The Natasha Denona one is more golden, whereas this one is more icy. I love a really bright highlight, but that looks very natural, like that wet glow look, and you definitely get it from this. The last one that I recommend is actually from Gerard Cosmetics, which is another underrated brand. I actually have quite a few favorites from that brand. And I don't hear a lot about them. I don't know if it's because kind of old news. They haven't come out with a lot of new products recently, but I have fallen in love with a lot of their stuff recently. And my favorite highlight from them is their Star Powder in the shade Grace. It is a beautiful champagne shade as well. You can obviously tell that those are like my favorite kind of shades. So as you can see, it is a little bit more of like a white kind of gold. And like champagne, it does have a little touch of gold hues, but it's pretty champagne like, very finely milled. These are actually like took me by surprise. Because I wasn't hearing a lot about Gerard Cosmetics. I wanted to try it out, but I wasn't expecting anything fantastic, and I fell in love with this. I'm wearing it today. It is very, very finely milled. You definitely get that like really wet look. It can seem like, look at how bright that is. I definitely have to blend that in, but like you can build it to be like absolutely beaming, but then it blends out really, really nicely as well. It doesn't like look chunky, it doesn't look powdery, doesn't emphasize texture. None of these do. It really just gives you that lit from within, wet, super stunning look, and I'm obsessed. Bronzer, I also have some recommendations. My favorite bronzer is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. There's quite a few shades, so different skin tones will definitely be able to find one that you like. Very creamy, very lightweight, very smoothing, and just gives a beautiful color to the face. It brings a lot of warmth to the face without looking too orange or yellow. Like, it's very stunning, and the formula is incredible. And then my favorite high-end bronzer of 2020 is the Buxom Staycation Vibes. It's a primer infused bronzer, which I'm noticing a lot of products are primer infused now. This one is in the shade Rooftop Tan. There are darker shades, but because I'm pale, this is a very stunning shade for me. It has some warmth to it, but it's not too orangey. It's very, very smoothing, very similar to the Butter Bronzer. Very smoothing, just a little bit more expensive, but they really are worth it. So great. I'm definitely glad I purchased that. So now let's move on to some palettes. Because I'm a cheater and because I actually tend to gravitate towards highlight palettes over individual highlights for some weird reason. Blushes, not as much. Blushes, I actually reach more for individuals, but highlight, I reach for palettes more. So that's why I included this category, because to me, a highlight palette is super important in my collection. So I have a drugstore and a high-end highlight palette. This one I fell in love with. It's from Pixie, and it is the Rach Loves the Layers highlight palette. It is a stunning palette. The formulas are incredible. It is a little bit different because it does have your typical, you know, champagne, golden, and icy highlight, and then it has a purple and a brown. So it is really versatile for all different skin tones, and that's great. So darker skin tones and medium skin tones, this guy will be great on you. For fair skin tones, you can use it as an eyeshadow. This purple is for a very, you know, maybe fun, iridescent look, or you can use it as an eyeshadow as well. It is very fun and light reflective and kind of bright. I really, really like that purple. The lace is probably one of my favorite shades. Very, very icy, really, really stunning. Tea is more golden, but not too gold. And then Clutch is a perfect champagne. They're very pigmented, but not too pigmented, and they're very buildable. They're really, really beautiful shades. It is a little bit of a pricier product from a drugstore brand. It's $30 Canadian, but it is so worth it. You get quite a bit of product, and it is absolutely incredible. Finely milled, that dewy, wet, really fine highlight look. Really, really beautiful. And I've actually fell in love with this year. And then my high-end one is my MAC Flashing Ice Extra Dimension Skin Finish Trio in light. You can also get it in dark, which is actually includes a blush and 2 highlights. The light one includes 3 highlights. You get a white gold, a gold, and a rose gold. They're all very finely milled, all very creamy. Basically, all the highlights I'm recommending to you are all very similar in the formula because it's just what I really like. They're really, really beautiful. It is a well-loved palette and one I recommend to get before it goes. I don't know when they're going to get rid of it, because I know MAC does get rid of a lot of their limited edition stuff. It's not all, you know, permanent. So I don't know when this is going to be discontinued. So I would go grab it now because they're absolutely stunning. And I actually think, I don't know, I feel like I like these more than any of their individual highlights that I've ever tried, other than Whisper of Guilt, because that's just like the best. But other than that one, I think this trio, it's almost like the formula is even creamier than any of the individual extra dimension skin finishes that I've tried. They're really stunning. So last but not least is the face palettes. So I also wanted to include a face palette for any of you that are kind of looking for a one and done type thing that's going to include bronzer, blush, and highlight. So my drugstore version is from Morphe. I know I'm a bit of a cheater. I use Morphe and ColourPop a lot for my drugstore options because I just fall in love with their stuff, and they are very reasonably priced. Realistically, ColourPop and Morphe to me are drugstore price point, and so I do include them a lot. This year I am going to really focus on including more actual drugstore products in my channel, like Maybelline, CoverGirl, Physicians Formula, Milani, like all of those brands. I really want to make sure I'm trying everything from them and making sure I'm having really great recommendations from the actual drugstore, like Target, Walmart, Shoppers, Ulta. That's very easily accessible. So that's something that I really want to make sure I'm doing this year. I know this past year I wasn't as good at including a lot of drugstore, and so that's something I want to focus on in the new year. But for this year, my favorite drugstore palette was my Morphe base palette. This one is an 8F Fairplay, but you can get other palettes, like they have different options for different skin tones. This one is for fair skin. It has a brightener, which I don't use very often. You could use it under your eye to set your under eye. There's 3 bronzers. So there's one that's darker that I do contour with super frequently. These are very pigmented, so just be careful with like the darker contour shades. I have a few times gone in a little too heavy and had to blend it out. They blend out really stunningly and they are very smooth. I love the bronzers. I contour and I bronze with them quite frequently. And then there's two blushes. Now when I looked at this blush here, I thought it was like another bronzer because it looks almost like a really light bronzer, but it is actually a quite stunning blush. So this is that blush. It swatches a lot different than it looks in the pan. It is much peachier and it is a stunning matte peach blush. I really love that blush. And then there's this one here that has a bit of a sheen to it. It's a bit more of a pink blush. It's that one right there. It's like a mid-tone pink with a bit of a sheen, no glitter, just a bit of like a kind of that healthy glow. And then two highlights, one more like a rose gold, and it is almost like a cream to powder type formula. It feels like cream. It really does. Like if you dip your finger in there, I've made a dent. Like that's how creamy it is. It really goes on like silk and really stunning. And then the next one is like a gold champagne highlight. It is powder. They're really great. I recommend picking one up because it's a one and done. Like I would use this on a day-to-day hands down. And then my high-end option is actually from Cover FX. The reason I chose this one, because there are other face palettes that I like more than this, just because, you know, maybe I like the highlights in that one more, but this is actually probably one of my favorite face palettes just for day to day because it has everything in it. So it has an incredible contour, which I use actually all the time. I haven't used it as much recently because I have had so many other products that I've been loving, but this is one I've reached for more in the beginning of the year, and when I was going through my collection, I had to put this in today's video because it's such an incredible palette. It has a beautiful matte bronzer that goes on very smooth, very creamy, blends out and is buildable and pigmented. It has a beautiful blush. It's a pretty neutral shade that I think would be usable by a lot of different like skin tones with different undertones. It's pigmented, but you all can also blend it out. It's, you know, really easy to use. And then two highlighters, one more golden kind of bronze and one more rose gold. I do tend to reach for the rose gold. Really incredible formula, very creamy, very smooth. There's a brightener, which you can actually also use as a highlight. It's that one right there. It's very like white gold, kind of champagne. I only ever use it as a highlight. I don't use it for anything else. And then the finishing powder is kind of just a skin tone type powder with a little bit of like a glitter in it. You could use it as a finishing powder. You could use it as a very natural highlight. Could be kind of that all over powder similar to the Hourglass Ambiance. I honestly don't use that one very often, but the other four, like the four side shades are absolutely incredible. This palette is one I reached for at the beginning of the year very frequently. I really, really, really love this palette. So those are my absolute favorite cheap products of 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned for future Best in Beauty videos. Among with many other exciting videos, I'm gonna be having a massive Christmas haul. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be a big one. So I'm really excited to share with you guys all the new stuff that I got over Christmas, and it's a bit of a collective haul. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, got some good product recommendations. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.